Hey everyone, Strangers123 here today with a Moskva replay for you guys. It's not a ship I think I featured on my channel yet, and to make it worse in a way, I guess you could say, this is not actually a ship I myself have played or like. So, in the email, it was basically asked if I could give some advice on the, in this case, Helmut Kohl's, Kohl, would that be? Helmut, we'll just say Helmut's Moskva gameplay. But it's not really something I can do, because it's not really a ship that I play, or like for that sake. I mean, like and like, it's kind of hard to say. Anyways, this is old trap, so no island gap there. You know, it's not extended. You can't enter it. You know, the cap's different. The islands are a little bit different around here, so you know it's bit. You know, it's the old trap basically. And personally, I'm not even sure, but honestly, I think I like the old trap more because you get a bit more motion around the flanks rather than just people bogging down here and here and here. You know, I mean, personally, this is just what I think. Regardless, what about the Moskva? Well, it's a large cruiser. You can definitely see that on the size of this thing. Compare this thing to that, and it doesn't really look that much different now, does it? I mean, let me just have a look at the ship from above. I mean, check that size out. And let's go bring the camera over to the Monty, if I can do it right. Where is the guy even? There we are. Same altitude, I have not changed the altitude. And check the size of this thing out. Bit buggy with the replay, but check the size of the things out. They're not even that different. Anyways, let's get back to player camera. And let's see what's up. Actually, no, before we do that, let's actually cover the armor layout while we're here. And hopefully the replay doesn't break too much. 155mm lower area with 140 beneath the engine with magazines. I think 100mm or 50mm behind the 155 main belt on the engineering area. 155 Citadel upper area. You need to be careful. That's actually a part of your Citadel armor. So if you're in a cruiser at long range, don't shoot at the waterline. Shoot halfway up the waterline. Lower belt armor is like kind of like the Citadel kind of goes like on the belt here and then tapers in and then down at a slight angle. Which is why you don't really want to shoot at long range with the shells impacting like this against the lower area of the Citadel. You want to hit the upper area, less armor, and expose Citadel. Plus, anything that misses can hit the superstructure or deck and still penetrate there. Whereas you have a risk of just getting deflections on the lower belt with the angle. Well, I mean, if you can penetrate the 155 outer, you'll get the full pen, but you won't get the full Citadel. So actually, in that sense, you do want to you want to aim central because you can hit upper, get Citadels on the middle area. Your shells get dispersed low, hit the waterline, still get Citadels or full pen, and still get Citadel and still get full pens or some other pens here, rather than aiming at waterline and realizing you only get full pens on here, maybe a couple of Citadels on the upper belt, and the rest fall into the water. And of course, 50mm of deck armor and 25mm of bow armor with no actual tapering. The immediately down sky, I think it's actually a little bit of a tapering belt up here. So, I don't remember, I could be wrong here, but just a little something to keep in mind with the Moskva's armor. At long range, your armor is very tough. You can get a bit of bad luck, especially versus Montana's, that at long range can still maintain reasonable accuracy and a reasonable dispersion on your bow. Yamato, granted, with the much heavier ammunition at that kind of range, can still go through a lot of your ship's armor. Regardless, spotted and immediately radaring, we do actually catch Anaki, but that puts us at a very awkward angle. We should right now just immediately sod trying to shoot him, and I think I should just remember to do this twice at the start of a replay, and it should fix itself. But sod trying to shoot and immediately start trying to turn, because even with the smoke screen, we're within, I think, 12.7 smoke shooting, so this guy's going to spot us shooting through it, and we don't really want to be broadside and all this kind of stuff. I mean, this guy might not. Hindenburg can't really Citadel us at that range, but all their battleships at that range definitely can put a pretty big dent in our long-term survivability. But we seem to get away with that, and we do radar the Aki for a little bit, but I don't think anyone really got any significant damage on that. That's the thing. Basically, there's two ways of handling that situation. Either you poke your nose into there like this New Orleans is, or you kind of break away like us. Of course, breaking away means that we will be having less time we can actually radar. Lion is 32mm of armor, definitely going to be a lot better of a target to go for. Thing about the Moskva is, the way we're playing it right now, is basically a mobile battleship sniper, and that's a Yamato full penetration for 4,884 damage, just a little number to memorize. 4,400 and I think 35 for a US 16-inch Mark 7 gun firing AP, and I think it's I don't even actually remember the Mark 6 numbers. But it's just a little number to remember, so you kind of, you know, I mean, I like doing that. I'm weird like that. But regardless, looks like we're breaking away, building distance, but the entire team is kind of blobbing themselves up into, honestly, not that great of a situation. Unless we're actually able to pressure down the enemy team there and get rid of them before these guys start applying pressure to us, and it is a consideration to actually head in this direction to get flank shots on these guys as they push through, or at least wait around to see if they want to push through this direction or push through here. But if like one single Zhao and these guys all lock themselves in this kind of area, working our way back there could be a massive risk, but it might in the end be a risk worth taking. Now, if anyone goes there, of course, if they have a destroyer there, that could be quite a bit of a problem. But I doubt it. No one's there this early. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, Aki was spotted there, and the other one's gearing, and he's not that fast to get, like, here and down there in the time it takes us to barely get to A. Regardless, with the Cyclone coming in through, if we don't get caught out, we could be in good shape. But remember, the Cyclone doesn't fully kick in until exactly 11 minutes into the game. Every single game with the Cyclone will always have the 8-kilometer acquisition forced upon you at exactly the 11-minute mark. When it ends, however, can vary by up to 2 minutes. So, just a little something to keep in mind. Regardless, single fire on the Ithamo, but he's far enough away that we can't spot him, and the Yamato doesn't have an airplane up, so we can't, get visual on that either. But Ithamo 32mm armor absolutely bloody everywhere. Again, means that we can get some damage on him. Personally, I'd angle before trying to return fire, but thankfully the Ithamo doesn't really get a good shot on us. And we could make a consideration to turn back in, and we definitely should consider turning back in rather soon, because we're currently 20 kilometers away from our targets. So it would be an idea to, when he went invis and we held our fire, to just, held our fire, but no one's targeting us. Ithamo just engaged someone else, so now is the time to make a full turn back in. Otherwise, we're going to be kind of left out of battle for a while during this cyclone, and we're also reaching the border. So we are now getting a little bit too far away. There's 2 minutes and a half left until the full cyclone. We have full HP, so we'll have more than enough health by the time we get back into the fight, even if we were to bleed a fair chunk. Now, and there you go, with the border coming up, we're going to be forced into making the decision to turn or stuck on the border. And there you go. And this kind of a situation, of course, if an enemy had a battleship that actually knew how to aim, with us committing to this turn, we could easily get ourselves punished, because shooting someone on the border, believe it or not, as long as you know how a ship moves, and, not aim your shell, like, if the ship's angled like this, you're like, oh, he's going to continue, let's shoot here, which is, like, outside the map. That, that's going to get you nowhere. As long as people understand that, as long as you're on the border, you're gonna, if you angle like 45 degrees sideways, you're gonna scrape at the path in the distance. If you needed to lead here, you shoot here instead, basically. It's the rule of, quote unquote rule of thumb of shooting people on the border. You apply the full lead, and then normalize, then, put that to not a tangent, basically draw the distance to the point, and take the normal from the border, and that's the point you shoot, if that made any sense. It's easier to draw up than to try to explain with it like this. But regardless, there is now 1 minute and 15 seconds until Cyclone hits in, and we've gone concealed. So going towards the blob is honestly a bit silly, because these guys are a little bit split. Rather, head a little bit more out in this direction, build some angles to be able to catch the Zhao in a crossfire should he try to make a bit of a move. Let's see. Yamato died there, which is to be expected. But then again, it's a Yamato. It's really, really, really bad ship for getting stuck in a position like that. But then again, we probably could have made a consideration to have moved a bit further out on the flank earlier. And yeah, the Yamato got shafted by Spore. Not much you can do about that in this kind of a situation. Granted, the team currently is a bit down on points, and looks like the Senjo wants to shoot AP at us. We still have... Oh, never mind. We had 3 Missouris on our team, so they're probably going to be useless overall. But now we're basically picking a fight with the Zhao that it really isn't benefiting us too much. We have expert loaders, so at least we're able to rapidly swap to high explosives munitions. That's a little bit overlaid and aim too far to the right. He's going to turn to support the moment he gets his shells airborne. And there you go, Cyclone is up. We have an 11.7 kilometer acquisition range, and there you go. You can see we're still full HP entering a Cyclone. No heal used, and about, let's say about a fifth of a potential heal to use. So we pretty much haven't been using our health and resources overall too well into the start of this game. But now, we should have the opportunities to start inserting gun, especially since there's nobody with radar here, and it's only cruisers that we can kind of bully with a little bit with our radar. That's the thing, it's about being able to get close enough to use these radars and use our heals, while still staying far enough away that we get free damage in on them before they get anywhere. We know exactly how they're going to enter the fight as well. So there you go, using the radar, and oh dear, is that a Hindenburg at 9.5 kilometers broadside and turning away with the Senjo turning in. I would have held fire for the Senjo, because this Hindenburg is no longer at a favourable angle for us. We aim a little bit too high, only scoring over penetrations. However, the Senjo now... Ooh, he's fully broadside, so we may not actually be able to punish him. New Orleans trying to shoot into the smoke, but that's not really going to work out too well. One Citadel, like I said, broadside Senjos can be dangerous in this sense. However, they don't know where we are. We know where they are, and we are picking up free damage on the Senjo. Not willing to get much closer, but there you go. Target Senjo goes down. Much better shot there. You want to aim for the magazines because there's less chance of an overpen against the magazines, the front and rear areas underneath the turrets with 155 millimeters, or is it 152 millimeters? Well, Japanese, so 15.2 centimeter, compared to 10 centimeters of central belt over engineering, which there is actually a chance for us to overpenetrate at this angle and range. So that is a little something to be aware of with the Moskva. You either shoot front or back against Zhaos. You don't want to shoot them in the central areas as much as possible. Granted, the magazine is in the a little bit more in waterline area, whereas the 10 centimeters of belt plate is well, the engineering area is actually slightly extended above the waterline. Just a little something to to chew on in terms of armor layout. Regardless, looks like the Baltimore is now in front of us and the New Orleans. We can make a consideration to push into that, but we need to be careful. If the Yamato's around the corner, we could find ourselves in a little bit of trouble. And there you go, Yamato actually gets spotted, so now is a chance to push. We can see that the Yamato is not going to be engaging us. He will be engaging the Montanas. So the faster we get in to the fight again, and this is probably the biggest criticism to give. And again, Baltimore central areas are the engineering. They are the weaker armor areas, but they're also the waterline areas. However, shooting at the magazines in the waterline is just going to result in overpenetrations. But now we need to get in there. We need to fight this the Yamato with our Montana. Unless, of course, our Montana seems to get the much better jump against him. So this Yamato, if the Montana knows how to aim, and let me just pause this as I take control of the free cam, accelerate a little bit so I can move my camera. We can't actually see the Monty's, he's just out of range. However, we can see where the ammunition is coming from, and let me see if the Montana would have the angle, if you ever wind up in this kind of a situation. See if you can find a couple of shell splashes. Go on, Yamato, your secondaries aren't this bad. Well, considering where they're shooting at. There we go. Now we see something. This is basically the point where the Yamato, the Montana is. Basically where the guns would be. And if we clear the UI and zoom in a little bit, if the Yamato was to over-angle, we can shoot it just underneath the gun turret. At this point, he's actually angled well enough that we're not actually going to achieve too much. We can try to shoot his bow area, but risky shots. But going for the turrets is probably the better thing to do here. But let's get back to our own gameplay, because we need to get in there, because that Yamato is under pressure and will be angling and focusing against the Montana. And we can get in there and deal some serious damage against his broadside at this kind of range. I'm not sure we can Citadel him if he's even slightly angled, but we get to within 5 kilometers, we can easily punish this Yamato with some significant AP damage against his broadside, easily able to wipe this guy off the face of the earth together with our Montana. We can see now the angles are significant enough. If we want to be cheeky, we can actually target underneath his number 1 turret there for some... oh, never mind, we are actually close enough to Citadel. Yeah, 6 kilometers, there you go, good enough. But, if we want to be cheeky, we could target his magazines there, just underneath his guns, to try to knock out his guns, to reduce the bleed against our Yamato our Montana a little bit. But yep, there we go, and now we're going to be slightly under-leading these a little bit. We're aiming for his rear turrets. There you go, see, mostly deflections at this kind of an angle. At this point, you actually want to be aiming, and there you go, our Monty gets blatted. You actually want to be aiming just on the aft end of the ship. And now, time to swap back into HE. Hindenburg knocks out our New Orleans, and there you go, a large portion of our team has just gone down. However, enemy top-tier battleship finding itself likely to go down. Hindenburg is really pushing enemy Yamato. Bad angle there on this guy, and we should be able to knock this one Yamato out before we end up in a bit of an awkward position with his main battery guns. There you go, only 15.5s get a shot off against us. Yamato on the other flank goes down to our fleet right now, and we should now accelerate ahead and ignore the Hindenburg behind us, kill off the enemy Moskva and the gearing. Then we can return to engage the enemy Hindenburg behind us. And there you go, radar goes up, gearing spotted, Moskva spotted. We're now kind of heading in the wrong direction. We need to head either here to intercept the Moskva or wait out the Hindenburg. It could also be a consideration for us to radar to figure out where the Hindenburg is, if he's behind us or not. You can see that if we look back a little bit, our acquisition still covers the entirety of the cap, so we'll know if he tries to enter the cap or not. But regardless, with 6 minutes left of the game and the possibility for us to rapidly advance towards Charlie, killing off the gearing and the Moskva pretty much immediately secures a back to the point advantage for us with having killing their stuff. Although granted they've held the caps, and you can see that's why the points advantage is in the enemy team's favor to begin with. But regardless, Hindenburg not actually entering our Bravo cap right now. Mistake by him. He should be hard pushing behind us. And we can see now that the Moskva is being pressured into a bit of a bad situation. So we're able to make some progress here. That would be very good. And of course, with this amount of time left, 5 minutes and more, we still have like another 1.5 minutes-ish of Cyclone on average, which is still enough for us to use one radar against this enemy Moskva if we so wish to. But with the fact that we're approaching against his broadside, he's only on 43,000 health with us engaging his broadside. He's going to find himself going down very, very rapidly if he doesn't know exactly where we are. This guy should make a consideration to radar, but we aren't actually fast enough to. So we do get caught by the Hindenburg. However, he's not the threat right now. We just need to get around the island, kill off the enemy's Moskva. And if he, let me just slow this down. Ooh, Hindenburg deletes the gearing. Very good there. We could actually aim our rear turrets at the Hindenburg, keep our flat ass, or semi-flat ass against them. Just like wiggle guns left, right, left, just to keep the front turrets aiming at the Moskva. Like aim here, then shoot him, turn guns there, wait 5 seconds, turn around, shoot him, wait, turn guns around. This will keep our front turrets basically aiming reasonably where we need them, so we can apply some pressure to the Hindenburg. We'll just continue shooting AP until we get around the corner to engage the enemy Moskva, and then we can suddenly do some serious damage to him, because he wants to stay angled to these guys. Now the correct move for him to make is to angle like this and head in this direction. He can angle against us and these guys both at the same time. Anyways, let's play ball and see what happens. Definitely not a bad thing just to run away from the Hindenburg and not pick a fight with him. No point in marking out that because, well, we can't do anything about it. Let's see, what range are we at? Oh yeah, never mind. The Cyclone's actually expired. Very early Cyclone expiry this time, but there's nothing we can do about the Hindenburg right now. We just need to use our health, which we could have used a bit earlier in all fairness. We could also consider healing. There we go, using the heal. Moskva guns not aimed, so we go around the corner and hi! To overpens though, one of those turning into Citadel would have been the kill on this guy up front. No need to angle against the Moskva, stay angled against the Hindenburg. That's aimed a little bit low. If it fails to hit him, we can actually fail to kill. But regardless, there you go. Guns facing forward, so we can just swivel them around rather rapidly. Who cares about the Hindenburg? And he actually takes a hit from someone, so he gets reset. But we need to be careful, and a consideration would be the radar to see exactly which direction you move. We don't need that radar for anything else, so using that, we'll catch him, we'll spot him, and we'll know if our turn is safe to, if it's safe to fully in-turn, which of course it wouldn't have been. There you go, using the radar way too late. If he has an AP salvo, we can find ourselves dying up front right here. But I would actually, considering the fact that his gun turrets weren't swiveled against us, looking for the other target, I would have fully in-turned him and just pushed him, pushed towards him. But I mean, we don't need to. We can, in one paper, just kite away from him indefinitely as well. But where's the fun in that, right? But he seems like he's given up. So one consideration here actually is to AP a lead here with AP and shoot him in the bow area. We can potentially find citadels against him at this angle. Of course, that's a bit of a risk and a very dodgy shot to go for in the first place. Looks like this guy's much more worried about the Missouri over us, and I mean, rightfully so. It's a Missouri. He can make his life cease to exist very, very quickly. But then again, sitting here at a poor angle to us could also be just as nasty. It looks like he wants to sit in the cap, but it doesn't matter. He's way too low HP. He's permanently spotted, and he's got no way out. It looks like he's even quit right now. Yeah, it looks like the guy's actually quit, which is definitely the wrong move. He could easily have done some significant damage. Oh, no, he's still in the game. He could easily have done some significant damage to us in the process, but there you go. Missouri shells go in, I think. Yeah, Missouri shells go in, failing to kill him. Yeah, that's not going to do anything. Our belt's good enough to resist that. Swapping the AP now, but a little bit on the late end with... But he is regenerating a little bit of heal, so we could have waited for a little bit of additional damage. But we pick up the Kraken in the end. Missouri, he wouldn't have loaded that fast, so... we could have, potentially, if we wanted to be cheeky, pick up a bit of additional damage. But I definitely would have considered loading AP a little bit earlier there. So, it's ammo loadout choices is definitely something to consider, but 14 Citadels, definitely a very good game there. A bunch of them even on the Yamato. I wasn't exactly sure if we were close enough to actually get Citadels at like 7.5 kilometer range, but by the time we actually engaged, we already pushed 6.5, and that's definitely close enough to gain Citadels against the Yamato. Though we do need to be careful of exactly where we shoot it, because different areas have different armor layouts, and it is, I think, a octagonal shape. Let's see, yeah, it's an octagonal shape of the Yamato's internal citadel. If you look at it from a top-down view, of course, there's a lot more sides to it than that. There's the main sides, then there's also the sloped deck sides, and there's also the main deck. So in terms of sides, it's a lot more than just 8, but you kind of get what I mean. And if you don't, go quickly look at the Yamatos and just and the armor layout, just hide everything except the citadel. You'll see what I mean immediately. But regardless, definitely a very nice result, although we could potentially have been a little bit more aggressive on the eastern side and taken advantage of our radar in Cyclone. It's basically 11.7 kilometers of free damage inside of a Cyclone, especially for fighting enemy ships that don't have radar themselves. In general, could have been a little bit earlier, but in the heat of the battle, that's very difficult to determine. It's not even something, I mean, for a player like me that, is absolutely shitting cruisers, it's really difficult to judge. But we definitely got kited out way too far out of the map at the starting phases of the game, because we had used, we used one heal, and it was completely unnecessary heal usage this match, to be completely fair, because we could have just let ourselves bleed lower health to get faster reload through Adrenaline Rush. If we had that, I didn't pay attention. But, if you have Adrenaline Rush in that kind of a situation, just letting yourself bleed can be useful to get just a little bit faster reload. So yeah, that's really all I can think of, being a little bit more aggressive in the pre-cyclone phase, bleeding a little bit more health, or trading more health to trade more damage, because we can get free damage during the cyclone that the enemy's team simply cannot. And, being able to come up, surprise, on someone's flank during a cyclone can be very devastating, especially for cruisers with a bad armor layout, or cruisers that are very vulnerable to, in this case, Moskva AP shells against the broadside. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast. Tomorrow I might be posting a video from the Wargaming Pay to Win series, the third one that I've yet to post, from the KOTS 5. But otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.